What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of FNQB. I'm your host, Rob Dar, and this is the show where we take intriguing on-the-rise Central Texas athletes and sit them down for a conversation about their lives on and off the gridiron. Today I'm joined by Jackson Rogers. He's a leader on the ferocious Cedar Park defense, and in his final ride, he'll be looking to lead the Timberwolves to a state championship. Jackson, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Not too bad myself. So, as customary, we've been playing some Madden, and I want to get things started by talking about your team choice, Dallas Cowboys. You a fan?
Yeah, I am a fan, actually. I've been a fan ever since I was a little kid.
So, have you been a fan because of, local, staying in Texas, all that stuff?
Actually, I grew up in Dallas, like the Fort Worth area, so that's kind of where I got my team from, and how I could start following them and stuff.
So, let's talk about your playing career at Cedar Park. What do you think is your biggest strength?
My biggest strength is I've been there for 3 years, so I know all of the plays and everything, like the back of my hand. Really no trouble on the field. All we need to do is communicate and just get that across to some of the younger kids that we have this year.
So you're a senior, and how do you try to use your leadership skills to the best of your abilities?
For my leadership skills, I try and be as vocal as possible. Make sure everyone is up and good, and no one's down on the field. If like a bad play happens, we always have our next play mentality, and we're just always ready for the next play. You being a linebacker, does kind of the leadership ability kind of translate to playing that position as well? Yeah, I mean, for years to go, the linebacker core has been the strong central leadership of the team for the defense especially, and I'm trying to carry that over to future years.
Because you're so good. I mean, I just want to know, what is a daily practice like at Cedar Park?
Daily practice, we usually have 2 morning practices and then an after-school practice on a Wednesday. For our morning practices, we're up at the school roughly around 4 o'clock in the morning. We go get our tape jobs done, make sure we're all ready, and then we hit the meeting room. We go over usually what the game plan is going to be for the week, and then we just talk about our assignments that we need to get done. And then right after that, we head back to the locker room and get changed out, and we're on the field at roughly 5:15 in the morning, and then we have a 2-hour practice after that.
When you were younger, such a brutal practice schedule like that, I mean, obviously 5:15 in the morning starting practice, do you just get used to that over time, really? Over
time, yeah, you definitely get used to it. I mean, you kind of put your mind into a mindset to where I need to get up and get these things done, and so I don't really see it as a problem anymore.
So how was it like, as your first varsity practice, getting up so early? I mean, what was that like for you?
Oh, I was excited because that was my last time knowing that it'd be my first time playing for my senior year and everything. So I was really excited, and I know a lot of the other seniors were too.
Being a Dallas fan, do you draw inspiration from any of those linebackers like Sean Lee, Jalen Smith?
Oh yeah, Sean Lee is definitely one of my favorite linebackers. He has a lot of everyone loves him. I mean, he's the heart and soul of the defense.
I want to take things back to your younger days. What made you get into football in the first place?
Well, I started my first time playing football was our tackle football was in 7th grade, and my friends were yeah, you should join out the team and stuff, come try out and stuff, and I was yeah, it seems fun. And then I remember that first day I put the pads on and I was just ready to go. I just felt right.
Oh no. Man, I thought the Vikings defense was supposed to be better than this. Being fairly undersized for a linebacker, how do you try to use your relatively small frame as an advantage?
I mean, with me being small, I definitely have a lower center of gravity to the ground, so I can dip and rip under the tall offensive linemen. I feel I'm just a lot quicker than most of them, so I use my speed to my advantage as well.
So how often do you and the other linebackers, or maybe the whole team, how often do y'all watch film?
We watch film every day. I mean, we before school, whenever we have an early morning practice, we'll watch film over. Well, this week we'll probably watch it over the Westlake scrimmage, and then after school we always come back and watch our practice after school for usually an hour or so.
Let's shift things away from the high school climate a little bit, and let's talk about your future plans. Are you looking forward to more of the football aspect of college, or are you just trying to look forward to getting an education more?
I'm not planning on playing football in college. I'm just going more into my real estate and business degree, trying to get that done.
And what would be considered do you have a dream school really that you want to go to?
My dream school is TCU, because I grew up right next to it, 10 minutes away from TCU. So like I grew up like around Fort Worth, like that was the heart and soul of like where I grew up and got all my.
And what do you think about TCU this year? How do you think they'll do? With the new quarterback, and I mean, with one of the best defenses in the Big 12. How do you think they'll fare?
I think they'll have a pretty strong year this year. I mean, last year they had a bunch of new receivers and kind of like a bunch of new offensive guys, but they're starting to get to know like the like the offense and stuff, and that's getting a lot better. And they have a really good quarterback that came from DeSoto High School, who like led them to a national championship that year. So I'm really like I have a good feeling about them this year.
I want to talk about that championship mentality y'all have at Cedar Park. Whenever you step on the field on Friday nights, do you always have that mentality of, hey, we're the big dogs, we're up for anything, we're the best in the state?
Well, yeah, I mean, especially this year, we're considered the underdogs in almost everything. I mean, they have Hutto beating us out in our district, which I love that because it just gives us that energy to get after it even more and like just show people wrong.
Also, what's it like playing for such a prestigious school, knowing that the Timberwolves have won multiple state titles?
Yeah, it was great because my freshman year, they put me on varsity. That was the year we won state, is in 2012, and I got to like experience a lot of like what the older guys were experiencing, and they were there for me, like showing me how to do everything right, and I think that's what kind of set me off to become the leader I am now.
So, did you have family ties that introduced you to football? To like your dad or one of your siblings introduced you to football?
Actually, it was my grandpa. He coached at Tulsa for a while back when he was younger, and then he was a high school coach for his high school, and it's where I would have gone if I would have stayed in Fort Worth, but it was at Brewer High School, and he got you got recognized there, and he like being like one of the top head coaches to ever come through that school. He's done a lot of good stuff there, so I really look up to him.
So football kind of runs in the blood, really?
Yeah, it does. My uncle also played for Texas when he was back in college.
I want to shift things back to the professional, the NFL. Dallas fan, what are your expectations for Dallas this year?
And just like us, I hope they win the Super Bowl this year. I mean, go as far as they could possibly go.
Anything's possible, right?
Yeah. I feel really good about Zeke this year. I feel like he's about to have another breakout season.
What were your reaction when, one of your hated rivals, Philadelphia, they won the Super Bowl? What do you think about that?
I mean, I was pretty disappointed at first, but at the same time, it's like we played them, we beat them before, so it's like, if anything, I'd rather have them win than someone else that we haven't beaten before.
That's true. So Cedar Park, I guess they're really well known for, their brotherhood, their connections within the team. Do you think it's stronger than ever this year, especially?
Yes, we're really trying to get that connection with all the younger kids because, I mean, the younger kids don't really have, like, the experience of the brotherhood yet, and a lot of them are having to step up this year since we've lost a few, like, key players. We've lost our starting running back that was a senior to, like, a torn ACL, and then we have a receiver right now that's out because he had to get surgery, and he should be back around week 2.
How well do y'all think you'll execute the next man up kind of philosophy, with the injuries you described? How ready do you think these backups can be to step in for such a big school?
Well, I mean, during practice, we always have the 2s going in and sometimes the 3s as well, just so they can be ready for that situation because you never know in a game whenever someone's going to go down. So they're very prepared, and they'll always just keep working to get better.
Do you try and watch film of, like, professional linebackers just to gain tips from them for, upcoming seasons?
Yeah, I've definitely watched highlights from, like, some DNs, like, so I can try and work my pass rush and stuff like that. I look at some of the other linebackers as well to see, like, how their pass drops are and, like, the coverages that they're in and stuff like that. Some of them is pretty similar to our schools.
I understand that you said Sean Lee is a big inspiration for you. Do you watch any other kind of pass rushers and other linebackers?
He's mainly my main guy that I look forward to. Anyone else, though, like, if they're making big plays and stuff, I'll definitely see what they're doing to see, like, how they're being successful.
Let's shift away from football. Let's talk about, are you, like, a Fortnite or PUBG person, man?
Definitely a Fortnite person.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you just like the first-person shooter and the building aspect of Fortnite rather than PUBG, not including that?
Yeah, I've always kind of been like a first shooter game, like especially going back to like Call of Duty. I used to play that all the time when I was younger, and then I really do like the building aspect of it because it kind of gives you like a two-way perspective on it. Like you can either be like really good with the shooter, you can be really good with building and stuff, and building obviously like really helps you out. So,
do you think that aspect is how it's become so successful and so prominent in the gaming community?
I think so because there's definitely like other ways to like make yourself better, and just everyone's kind of different in the game. Like they have their own way of doing stuff.
You also a music fan? Do you listen to? I mean, what kind of music do you try to listen to?
I usually listen to rap a lot, like Drake and Travis Scott. Probably my two main favorite people to listen to.
Oh no, it's a bad throw. Speaking of Travis Scott, what do you think about Astro World, man?
I was very prominent with Astroworld. I thought it was pretty good. First seeing it though, I thought he wasn't gonna have any features on it because they didn't show that at first. So I was kind of like scared about that. But then I started listening more to the album, and heard like Sicko Mode and some other like 5% 10, and I really like those songs.
And yeah, he uses the hidden features thing
Yeah,
a lot. I mean, with like the Weeknd,
yeah, yeah,
Drake,
yeah.
and all this, and a bunch of other, I guess, artists.
Mhm.
And you mentioned Drake is one of your favorite artists, correct?
Yes.
What do you think about Scorpion?
Um, I was a little let down by Scorpion. I thought there'd be more like really like top chart songs on there, but I felt like it kind of got old after like a couple weeks. People weren't really as interested into it as I thought they'd be.
Do you think that the many songs on that album contributed to like its, I guess, its madness? Really?
Say that again.
Do you think the number of songs? I mean, there was
Oh yeah,
20
it was
plus
like
songs on the
yeah, there was
album.
like two different albums on there. Yeah, I felt like it was a little overdone because I felt like people were just looking for those songs that they thought would be like the big songs and didn't really like fully listen to like the whole album. Because I do realize he had like a kind of like a soul side and like a rap side. So
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of
Disclaimer.
like that though. Like yeah,
Disclaimer: I still love Drake, so
yeah.
please don't think I'm bashing Drake. I want to go back to Cedar Park for a little bit. Do you have any kind of pregame traditions before these big games where the spotlight's on you most of the time because you're such a powerhouse in such a football heavy state in Texas?
Um, Pre-game wise, I definitely like put my headphones in, listen to music. I always have a Pedialyte with me before a game just to make sure I have that extra hydration and those electrolytes. And then usually I'll just kind of sip on myself and kind of go over the game plan again to make sure I'm good with everything. And then get any like last minute questions taken care of.
How well do you think the chemistry is in that linebacker section? You have to, you're pretty much the play callers of the defense,
Mhm.
and I mean, obviously you all have to work together to make a play successful. So how well is your chemistry within that section of the defense?
At first, I'm not gonna lie, I thought the chemistry wasn't gonna be that well because I mean it was pretty much me and like a few other seniors, but the other seniors weren't like getting the start or anything because we had some better underclassmen that were taking the roles in. But right now, after the Westlake scrimmage, I feel really confident with them. I feel like they're really gonna step their game up, and I feel like everything's really clicking right now.
And I know it's only a scrimmage, but whenever you play these prominent opponents, like say you're playing Westlake or Lake Travis, these are all hypotheticals, by the way.
Mhm.
You know, playing obviously these games they're going to be well known, and most of the time they might even be sold out. So, I mean, how does it feel playing in such front of such big crowds, pretty much every Friday night?
I don't really take that into account. I mean, once I'm on the field, I'm not really worried about the fans. It's definitely nice though. Like once you make a big hit or something, you just hear the whole crowd go crazy. That really gets me hyped up. But it doesn't really it doesn't really get me scared or anything like that.
I don't think I'm gonna ice Dan Bailey. He's one of the best kickers in the damn.
Oh, I didn't even realize there's only 3 seconds left.
Come on. No, you hit.
Last second field goal.
Nice, dude. Well, one last question before we go. What's been, or at least two last questions. What has been your favorite sports moment? It could be playing or as a fan.
Hmm. Favorite sports moment? I'd probably say when I was a sophomore, when we won the state championship, and I got like the necklace put on me by like the main people that put on like the state championship necklaces and like
Yeah.
the UIL little golds or whatever. And I felt it was just great. I mean, all my brothers were with me, and everyone was crying because like we finally like accomplished something. Like that was our first state championship, and it just felt great.
Finally, what's your why? What drives you to keep working in those early morning practices every single day?
My why is because like my coaches, I love my coaches, and they give really great feedback to like how to be a better person. And I think football, like itself, besides the fact of just playing it as a sport, it really teaches you some really good like life lessons and makes you a great person. So that's why.
Well, Jackson, thank you for coming on.
Of course.
You can find him captaining the Cedar Park defense as they look to capture another state championship. Until then, this has been FNQB. I'm your host, Rob Dart, and we'll see you later.
Go Wolves.